We're going to get going on the second half of our homage to John Gilbert, and starting with Tim McCoy, who's going to say a few words about his friendship with John. Tim, please give him a hand.
To share a couple of stories and memories that I had with John for almost 35 years of knowing John. I met him when I was 19 years old, 18 or 19. I had a guitar teacher that had an early Gilbert guitar, and Fred Connor was his name, and he brought myself and another guitar player friend up by the name of Rex Winsberg. He brought us up to John's house and just had a wonderful visit with John, and it was first of many more visits over the next 35 years up to John's house. And after a couple of years after my first visit there to John's, I was doing carpentry work, and John asked me if I would do some work up at on his deck, the handrails and whatnot. And I said, sure, John, I'll do anything you want me to do. I just love the guy. So I started doing carpentry work for John, and somehow I ended up down in the shop and him giving me some information on how to build a guitar. And shortly after that, he gave me wood to build the guitar, and started me making the form, making jigs, and making my first guitar in the shop there over the course of maybe a year or so. Alice was always there with tea and wine, or not tea and wine, tea and cookies. And just a delight. The hostess for the mostess, both John and Alice were so gracious and wonderful. And I learned how to build guitars and continued on building guitars. And anytime I had a problem, I'd phone up John and he'd come on up to me and I'll show you what's wrong with your guitar, or let me see what you've finished. And just wonderful memories of John teaching me how to build and spending precious time with him. Wonderful man. And in addition to building guitars, we had some real nice outings, getting wood together. One story, he phones me up in the afternoon and says, Timmy, meet me down in San Carlos at such and such a warehouse. I've got a score on some fingerboards, ebony fingerboards. So I meet John down there, and he had been there the day before, and he already picked out 300 fingerboards, and we spent the afternoon there picking more fingerboards out. And he goes, okay, Timmy, you got to get minimum 2 11/16 by 21 by 3/8, and go for it. So he was picking from his file, and I was picking from my file. Just had a wonderful time together picking our fingerboards. And I get a call the next day, and it's always John. He calls the next day. He goes, boy, we were made out like bandits. He was telling me from the wood we got the day before. Yeah, another story is I had a cabinet shop. I still have a cabinet shop, and John told me, hey Timmy, source out some cedar for our necks. So I looked in to get some Spanish cedar for our necks, and I located a source, and I got the price on it, and I said, John, it's this much, and he goes, well, why don't we get a unit of it? And a unit is 1,000 board feet. And I said, okay, John. So get 1,000 board feet of the cedar for our necks, and I could have had it all surfaced and straight lined for only $100 for 1,000 feet. And John said, no, I want to get the wood in the rough, and we'll mill it ourselves from there. So for the next week and a half after the delivery of the wood, John and I were out in front of my shop, him on the smart end, me on the dumb end, pulling the wood out of the shaper, or the planer, just having a great time together. John was in his 60s and working like a 20-year-old, pushing wood through the machinery, and ended up thicknessing it and grading it, cutting it up and storing it up in my loft, and a wonderful memory of that. Another time memory was Bill and John coming down to my shop, and they had a bunch of fingerboards to pass through a sander that I have. And John had a big old smile on his face passing the fingerboards through the sander, because he was not having to stand in that drill press with a disc forever, leveling out the fingerboard. And the smile almost turned to a, we almost have gone too far, Bill, pushing our wood through it. And I was hoping that it would go too far, because I was always the recipient of wood when John changed design by 15 thousandths of an inch. I got fingerboards, I got bridges. change in design or a mistake. And he was so gracious, giving me stuff all the time when I go to the shop. The last visit to my shop by John was I had gone to Italy the year before, and I brought back a bunch of Italian spruce tops. And John had come down to spend the afternoon and see what I was doing in my shop and pick out some tops for Bill. And he came down, and right away he's got in my shop and he says, "Timmy, where's your straight edge? Where's your square? Where's this?" He was checking my work, and I got the 2 thumbs up, and I was happy to get that from John. And after spending time inside of the guitar shop, I had set up maybe 100 sets of Italian screws for John to go through. And I said, "John, you need anything?" And he goes, "No, Tim, I'm just going to look at it." I said, "Okay." And I went back and I continued on working with my cabinets I was working on. And 5 minutes later, John says, "You got a tape?" I give him a tape. A couple minutes later, "You got a scratch pad and a pencil?" And I get him that. Within 5 minutes, he had my scale, my calipers, my everything out there, calculator to do his evaluations of the tops. And after an hour and a half or so, he picked out 30 tops, and he kept saying beautiful. Like Tim said, he had a certain way of saying beautiful. And this is just beautiful what I would hear him say. And he picked out all these tops, and he had all these calculations down on a piece of paper, and I was hoping that he was going to leave that notebook on my bench. Or that, or wad up the paper and throw it in my garbage so I could take it out. He wadded it up and he put it right in his pocket, and I still don't know what the Gilbert densities are, the Gilbert top, I don't know what that is, but just many wonderful memories with John. Building over the course of the year, I got to do some carpentry up at his house, all to John's plans. He would sketch out what he wanted, and I would build it. I was a genius, and he was a genius for his sketches, me executing his design. I did work inside the house. Bill had to fix, I think, a sink that we were installing one time. We just got it working for 1 week, and Bill came up the following weekend to finish it off. So, aside from doing the wood and spending a lot of great time with John, a couple years ago, my son, for our school project, did an interview with John for his school project. And the last question in the interview was to ask John, had he enjoyed his career as a guitar maker? And John reflected a minute and responded, he goes, "I wouldn't have chosen any other path or any other way. He enjoyed so much is working with the guitar, repairing the guitars, and all the neat people he had met along the way." So, just a wonderful guy, Johnny.